Pauline Swift for Our World Media Magazine. I'm here. I have a special guest with me today. His name is Richard David, and he is planning on running for city council. I should say he is running for city council of the 28th district here in Queens. Welcome to our world.
I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Queens is a very diverse borough, and looking at you, I can see you're diverse. Where are you from originally, your family?
I was born in Guyana in South America. I came here when I was a child, and this is where I've lived since.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now you're planning, or I should say you are running for the 28th District City Council here in Queens. And what are some of your plans that you would like to see come about?
You know, I'm running for the city council here because I'm just disappointed with the level of progress we've made as a district. You know, I've worked for the city in all parts of New York City for the last 10 years. I'm seeing amazing progress. I'm seeing safer neighborhoods, cleaner neighborhoods, and prosperous neighborhoods. I come home though, and I'm just not seeing the same kind of quality of life here.
Okay.
My vision for our community is that folks have easy, walkable access to community spaces that are clean and modern, and so community centers for young people and for seniors, they don't exist.
I know.
When was the last time we built something in our district that we're proud of, that's modern and people want to go to?
Why do you feel that is, that we do not have community centers in our district? I mean, there is nothing for young people to engage in, you know, and if you don't have a positive mind, the most that you do is stand on the corner. I mean, not everybody does that, but still, what about basketball, baseball, football? What about the arts? But we need this in the community. We need a community center. I've been hearing this for the past 7 years living in this district.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen anything happen.
I've been hearing it since I was a child. So over 20 years we've been talking about this in this neighborhood. And the challenge is, I don't think we have effective city council representation. That's where the funding is. So a lot of people I know either own their home or they live in a neighborhood where they're paying a lot of taxes. None of that funding seems to come back here. So everyone else in New York City seems to be spending our money to build community centers, but we're not building them here in our own neighborhood. Our kids don't have the benefit of learning about coding and technology because there aren't spaces around that can do that. Where do we send our kids to swim or to play, you know, the latest video game, not just to play it? Those spaces don't exist, and that's the conversation that we got to have, right? We can't build a community center or spaces from 10, 20 years ago. We got to build one for 10, 20 years in the future, because by the time it's done, you know, these kids are going to grow up.
Now, I'm looking at the community. I see new buildings going up.
Yeah.
Hotels are being built. 1 or 2 apartment buildings are being built as well, affordable housing. But so who is actually responsible for bringing in a community center? What organization or what part of the city council is responsible for this? I mean, let's put our finger on a person. Who's responsible? Who can make this happen?
A few people, but your council member is your strongest advocate for something local like this. Okay. I know because I've worked for the government for the last 10 years doing exactly this. In fact, I'm the only candidate in this race with any government experience at all. I'm the youngest candidate in the race. I'm the only one with any government experience.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, this is a government job. And so we need to know how to navigate government. We need a council member who's both an activist in our streets and a savvy person with government, because that's how we're going to get funding back in our neighborhood. And that's how we're going to build community centers. I know because that's what I've done for the last 10 years. And that's what I want to do in my own neighborhood.
Okay. Sounds good. What is the first thing that you want to do once you are elected?
The first thing I want to do is a series of very small things. The first thing I want to do is allocate funds to a nonprofit who will operate a community center for young people and seniors in the district. where we can begin this conversation of building a modern space that people feel excited to go to. There should be a waiting list, right? That's how exciting it should be. Not, oh, well, let's go because there's nothing else to do. The other thing I want to do is fix basic issues that we're still complaining about. Getting our buses to run on time. Other neighborhoods, the buses generally run on time. Here, you got the Q9, the Q8, the 41. They either come 2 at a time or they don't come at all.
Yeah, well, what's up with that? Because that is, sometimes I'm waiting for the Q6 bus and it comes, I see it and I say, oh, it says out of service.
Yeah.
And then the next one says it's only going to Archer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one, well, hopefully the next one goes all the way out to the last
Public
stop.
transportation's been a big issue in our district. We don't have enough subways and the buses don't run properly. And so we're talking, in this campaign, I'm talking about small things that we can achieve on day one. We can get the buses to run on time. We can get the MTA to install timers at each bus stop to tell people when the next bus is going to come. A lot of our seniors don't have that smartphone app. They don't, they just need to look and say, oh, well, the next bus is coming in 5 minutes. So I'm not going to wait at 11 p.m. for the next bus because I know it's going to be an hour away. I'm going to take, a cab to get home instead. Every night I go to Sutphin and Archer, that's the debate I see a lot of people having. Is this bus actually going to come on time? Should I keep waiting? It's kind of a mystery.
Now I'm going to say this seems to happen a lot in the minority neighborhoods. I lived for 25, 30 years in Lufrock City.
Okay.
And so living over here in South Jamaica, Queens, is like 7 years, the last 7 years. And I see such a drastic difference. Just as we said, the buses, supermarkets, the food is stale. I hate to say this, but you buy some milk sometimes today and by the end of the week or by 2 days' time, it's stale. So I know somebody's changing the labels, and so I don't shop here in the community because I do not feel that I'm getting the best bang for my dollar. I do not feel I'm getting healthy food. So I go out to Walmart in Valley Stream. Mm-hmm. And I have to either, go, get somebody to take a cab or something. I just wanted to know why do in the poorer districts, bus, food, certain things happens. And it's like, it's repetitive. It just goes on year after year. And it's like, we accept it.
I have to take you to a local West Indian restaurant because I think you're going to love the food.
Okay.
There are some really wonderful small businesses locally, but you're right. We need to have more healthy foods on our shelves. We need to work as a community to have locally owned, especially black-owned businesses that are serving our needs. A lot of people ask me this question. What are you going to do, or what have you done for the black community? I get it all the time. And I encourage that question because I know some people are thinking it, but maybe aren't bold enough to say it. Mm-hmm. The fact is, we've tried and tried and tried the same kinds of things in our neighborhood, and it hasn't progressed. I'm asking people to take a chance on me. I have a master's from New York University. I've been on my community board for 9 years. I've created one of the largest nonprofits in our neighborhood. And so now I'm running for city council. At the end of the day, we need an elected official who's compassionate, who cares about this neighborhood, and who experiences these same issues that you experience, so that when we go out in the store, we're not on our own. Our elected officials feel what we're feeling.
Because sometimes I wonder if you all see.
But it's not just the feeling,
okay.
Because I think they feel it. It's that they know what to do about it. And we have some really bright council members around us. They're proposing some wonderful things for Southeast Queens. Participatory budgeting. This is where people like you and I can go and pick the kinds of projects, we vote on the kind of projects that we want to see funded in our neighborhood. All around us, they've done it. Even in the Republican district, my wonderful friend next door in Ozone Park has done it. Everyone has done it except District 28. So really basic things that we're seeing in other parts of the city, even in other parts of Southeast Queens, we're not seeing in District 28. All we're seeing are hotels that are turned into homeless shelters. All we're seeing is endless traffic on the Van Wyck, and we're asked to deal with the endless pollution that it causes. All we are asked to do is shut up, pay your taxes, and keep it moving. We gotta elect people who not just feel our pain, because I feel our pain. We also gotta elect people who can do something about it. And that is the kind of elected official I want to be. That's the kind of person that, you gotta have a vision for your district. And so when I say I want people to have walkable access to community spaces, walkable access to fresh produce and a healthier lifestyle, cleaner parks, and safe, reliable public transportation, that's the kind of thing that we should all want to see in our community. And one community, not this side of the Van Wyck and that side of the Van Wyck, because every time we do this, they divide us and our voice isn't as strong and we can't get enough funding back to our community for all of our residents.
True. Something I was reading here about you are in favor, well, I should say, being a homeowner.
Oh yeah.
Now you're young. You're a homeowner. I mean,
I'm trying to grow out this beard.
How can we get young people to get involved in owning their own? That gives you pride, and when you can sit down and look in your backyard and see the flowers that you planted, and you have a different attitude as opposed to renting.
Absolutely. So I bought my first home when I was very young, and I'm so proud of that, right? And I want to get more people in our community. We have a high home ownership rate. That's something I'm really proud of. But we got to make sure young people who are growing up can also buy their own homes, right? Because that's one way of making sure we keep our community the way we want to see it, the way that it is, so that we're owning the stuff that's around here. We got to teach, this stuff doesn't really, it seems to skip a generation, ownership. We got to teach people to, not just be a renter, because chances are your rent is probably as high as that mortgage. So
Sure.
You might as well, we need to develop a way for people to get that equity, the down payment.
That's the problem. I realize.
It's the barrier.
It's the down payment.
It's the barrier. And look, we are still dealing with one of the highest rates of foreclosure in our district than anywhere else. We're dealing with things that other people have solved. We're still trying to trip over ourselves. Mm-hmm. We should create programs where people growing up here, living here, seniors even, are able to purchase those houses that are in foreclosure, and have it retained in our neighborhood. That's also a way to make sure the prices don't skyrocket because investors aren't coming in, and that's what caused the bubble in the first place. Mm-hmm. A lot of investors came in, bought these houses, and it inflates the neighborhood value.
True.
If we are able to create a program where we're making sure seniors are purchasing these homes, young people with a bright future are owning these homes and raising their families here, that's what I want to do. That's the kind of neighborhood I want to create.
Okay. And you also support small businesses.
Yeah, we got some beautiful. You brought that up because you want to go to that restaurant. I know.
Yeah.
We got some beautiful small businesses here. Okay. We just don't have a lot of Black-owned businesses, and I feel like I'm the only one talking about this. The comptroller recently issued. It's not just MWBE. Mm-hmm. It has to be about Black-owned businesses. So the comptroller recently issued a study that showed that in Queens, Black-owned businesses are at a 2% rate. 2%. It's the lowest it's ever been since they started collecting data.
Oh my goodness.
And so nobody's responding to this with any kind of urgency. That's why I'm proposing a program to specifically help, not just MWBE, to specifically help Black-owned businesses. Because that's a different conversation. Black-owned businesses are not thriving in MWBE. And so we got to take them out and do something special there. We got to be proud of Black-owned businesses in our neighborhood. Now, I know a lot of those Black-owned businesses are like Jamaican, the Jamaican shops, because I love them. We got to make sure it's a really diverse small business base that's Black-owned.
Because what I see, as you said, we sort of like stick to a certain category. Like we don't own black owned supermarkets. I mean, we don't own a lot of things. Media programs. Media.
Yeah, I'm proud to come on this show because it's minority owned. It's black owned, and we have to figure out pipelines to help people. Now we got your college in the neighborhood, right? Your college has actually been a wonderful engine of economic growth and stability in our community. If we can figure out, working with your college, an entrepreneurship program to channel the talents of really bright young people and people of all ages in our neighborhood, if we can figure out a way to use the education infrastructure that's here, the really great talent and ideas and energy that's coming out of our neighborhood, and connect it with finance, we can create a pipeline for progress in our community, and we can see more diversity in black-owned businesses. We will see more black-owned businesses.
What about the banks? Will they be willing to work with small business owners and not turn around and say, "Oh, you don't have any capital"?
Yeah.
We always wind up, we want to help small businesses, but then they will say, "Oh, you don't have any, let me check your credit." Not everybody has good credit, but still you want to do something.
So black is such a big umbrella, right? Mm-hmm. Because you have African Americans who have been here for post-civil rights and before then. You have West Africans who have moved here and are thriving. You have Haitians, you have West Indians. You got all kinds of black people in our community.
Sure.
And we got to make sure that we're helping them to achieve the American dream and thrive and succeed in our own neighborhood. And so getting banks to finance these programs is actually it's a more manageable task because the city is the largest, influencer of those kinds of decisions.
Well, why I'm asking you these questions is that I am a business owner, and I'm very, interested in what, the city council is doing, and I know there's other people such as myself that are wanting to hear from, our politicians as to how they can better the community and how we can work together.
Absolutely. And, ethnic media is so critical. I don't know a lot of people in the neighborhood that are reading the New York Times. I like the New York Times. They're wonderful for world news. But when I want neighborhood news, when I want to know what's going on, I turn to ethnic media. Print, online, and on social media. That's where I go. And so we have to, the mayor's begun this conversation to empower ethnic media, but it hasn't reached, the bases. Mm-hmm. It hasn't reached as far as it should have. And with me in office, I'll be able to connect more small business owners, especially in media, with all of these opportunities that are out there. The city publishes billions of dollars in ads and other kinds of, media. Mm-hmm. We got to get more of them into ethnic media, especially in our community. Okay. Yeah, because it's going to help, all of us.
Well, Richard, I appreciate you coming on our show, our World Media magazine, and talking about the issues that you're going to be addressing once you get elected into office. I'm very proud to see what the work that you're doing and trying to do. And
thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. The election's on September 12th, yes. Tuesday, September 12th. Okay. I'm a Democrat. My website is richarddavidnyc.com. So richarddavidnyc.com, and our office is actually right across the street, 133rd Street and Rockaway.
Oh, we are really neighbors.
Yeah, we are.
Pauline Swift for Our World Media. Please continue to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and all other social media. Thank you, Pauline Swift for Our World.